So we have goals at work, with our families, even for our hobbies, we plan things out. But when we get sick, everything stops. Like the only thing that we can focus on is the one singular goal, which is to get better. How we execute on that goal, so what we choose to do, is going to be heavily influenced by whatever we've learned up to that point. So I remember vividly, actually, my 3-year-old niece, she caught her first flu ever. So we're at my parents' place. She's playing with a toy in the living room. And all of a sudden, she just takes off running. She stops, throws up everywhere. She thought she could outrun the problem. My earliest memories of getting sick, if I was feverish, off to the hospital or the doctor's office we would go. So from a very, very young age, we are trained to seek medical advice and support when we don't feel well. But I could tell you that at some point for me, that solution stopped working. I'm the kind of person that I feel insulted and annoyed and frustrated with people not taking what I'm saying about me as reality, as the gospel truth. And even as a small child, someone telling me that my sniffles or my headache were no reason to be curled up, like not playing and trying to send me outside, bothered me. And I remember, because I'm a little kid, right? I don't have a choice. They tell me to go outside, I have to go. But I remember just being outside, walking around angry because I have a headache. What the heck am I doing out here? There were 3 major incidents in doctor's offices when I was accused of not doing what I was told to do for my good health. And I can tell you in all honesty, Wellness Warrior, that when you don't feel well and all you want is to feel better so that, well, you could play or work or whatever it is in your life that you're doing at that point in time that you're missing out on, life just stops. So for sure, I was doing everything I could to be better. Now, the first incident happened over several years. So I was really shocked when my really nice pediatrician, she was a really sweet lady that I'd known for my entire life, accused me and my mom of not upping the amount of red meat that I was consuming. And yes, I just said that. I'm old enough that I was having a pediatrician that was so old school that when she saw my iron numbers were low, she told my parents that they need to feed me more red meat. That was during the low-fat era. She was like, that's the garbage. Feed this kid more meat. And my dad was so happy because my dad loved steak and had stopped eating it because my mom was worried about him going to give us heart attacks and whatever. But now we have this interesting problem because I actually hate red meat. And I have a mom who, she doesn't do well with, I don't like that, or I'm full. She doesn't care. So if it's on my plate, I'm supposed to eat it. And now we have this stuff that I can't stand on my plate. And I'm trying to choke it down, this beautifully cooked, tender steak that my dad, the chef, made. It's perfect. And I'm crying and eating and not happy. And then to go back to the doctor's office and have this doctor accuse me of not upping my stupid red meat yeah, my blood tests still showed that I was anemic. She says to my mom, well, she's not eating enough. So we go home, and now I'm not just having steak once a week. Now we're having stewed beef on other nights, and my mom is figuring out hamburger. I think hamburgers is probably the only one that I actually didn't mind having. But we're having now red meat several times per week because she needs to get my iron numbers up. And we go back to the doctor. This is over years, right? No impact. And eventually my doctor just says, you know what? Since you guys are not doing what I'm asking you to do, I'm like tortured. And she prescribes me iron pills. Now, by this point, I'm happy to no longer be eating the red meat, by the way, but I'm a teenager at this point. And I start taking these pills, and my mouth, the sensation in my mouth, it's horrible. and it's metallic. It's like, and I feel nauseous, and I'm just having a really bad time. And my mom calls and says, she started taking this medication. She's not doing well. And the doctor's like, on one hand saying, it's not usually the kind of symptoms we see, but follows it up with, she needs to keep taking them. She'll get used to it. I'm going to get used to feeling. So just to let you know, I took the pills and I didn't get used to it. I went through one menstrual cycle and then another, and and my menstruals were horrible on this medication. The cramps and it was horrible. So when the doctor said that I need to get used to it, and my mom is like, you're keeping taking it, I did something that I don't normally do. I said to my mom, yep, I'm going to keep taking them. You thought I was going to say no. No, I said yep, and then I didn't take them. Now, Wellness Warrior, that was a big risk on my part. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, I could feel good or take the pills. And I said, I'm not going to take the pills. I'm going to feel good. However, that meant that I know the next doctor's appointment, I'm going to have to deal with my angry mother. That's how bad I was feeling. I want you to understand that, because I don't like dealing with my mom when she's angry. So I decided that I'll take my punishment when it comes. And what's really important that I want you to get from this first incident of the doctor not believing me and like pushing me to take medication that was making me feel horrible is that when I was told at the beginning of this entire thing that I was anemic, I didn't have any symptoms, any that I could feel, right? They took some blood and they're like, oh, you're anemic. But like, I felt perfectly fine. All of the solutions were absolutely horrible for me. That is going to be important later on in this story, Wellness Warrior. The second incident is I went to a clinic because I couldn't feel my thigh, the right thigh. Couldn't feel it. Poke, 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 feel nothing. The doctor came in, spoke to me for about 2 minutes, and then said something like, well, that happens. You'll just have to learn to live with it. I was 25 years old. I felt very dismissed, I guess would be the right word, insulted. I was like, no, I'm not going to just get used to it. What are you talking about? And like, honestly, he's telling me this, he's walking out the door and I'm trying to talk to him and he's like, yeah, there's nothing to be done. And he leaves. And although I honestly didn't want to have that be the answer, there was nothing I could do. He just said it and left. I left that clinic so dejected, so I felt not seen, not cared about, like a number. I don't even know if we need to go to the third story. Those two were probably bad enough, but I think for the people that might not know me yet, I'm going to tell the third story. So I'm Violet. And what I haven't spoken to you about yet is that alongside of my history of anemia and then this thigh thing that happens when I'm 25, along the way, my knees had started hurting me. And those knee pains over time morphed into like elbow problems. And then my back was hurting. And then like my neck was like really bad. That caused me to go to the chiropractor. But somewhere along the way, 20 years later, not somewhere along the way, 20 years later, I got to a place where I had a crazy, ridiculous 13 months of my life where I went from the depths of despair to like elation, and I was so happy. At 46 years old, I was again sat in front of a doctor, but this time the pain was unbearable. The kind of pain that ruins your entire day. And the doctor took some time with me and asked me some questions and wrote some stuff down. Like it was a hip problem and he wanted to, ask a bunch of stuff. But unfortunately, he didn't seem surprised or shocked by what I was saying. And the doctor calmly wrote me a prescription for some medication and told me that the solution was to wait for my hip to actually fail so that I could qualify for hip replacement surgery. When I was younger and learned that we would all someday pass, I didn't sleep for weeks laying up worrying about my mom leaving, my dad, eventually me leaving. I couldn't sleep. Long story, this was the second time in my life where I was in a situation of learning information that stopped me from being able to sleep. I just couldn't accept. Again, I'm in that scenario where I don't want to accept that this is the answer. And maybe it's because I wasn't able to sleep, that all I was doing was scouring the internet every night, trying to find an answer to this incredible hip pain that wasn't allowing me to sit comfortably, to stand comfortably, to walk comfortably, to lay comfortably. I couldn't do anything comfortably. It was hurting all the time, whether I was on it or not on it. Hurting all the time. I was desperate. I was willing to empty my bank account for whatever solution was going to be put in front of me. I was desperate. What I found was this absolutely backwards diet called keto. A diet that expects you to avoid fruits, which honestly I didn't mind because I hated fruit. But it also wanted you to minimize vegetables and basically fill up on meat and fat. That seems so crazy to me. That seems like it was just going to cause health problems, heart issues, weight gain. And I couldn't afford to gain any more weight, by the way. I was already classified obese. But then I thought, well, is what I'm living actually living? I mean, I'm up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning searching for solutions to my pain rather than sleeping. By the time that I found this crazy diet called keto, I was 8 months into being in pain all the time and knowing it had to get worse before I even had the possibility of surgery. And I didn't want the surgery. I am terrified of having surgery. But the pain? So what was I supposed to do? And I think, honestly, I think that they make you wait for the surgery so that by the time they say, now it's time for surgery, you've lived pain for so long, it's take my whole leg off. And after 8 months, I was close. I was really close. Keto seemed like an option, like a chance to just, maybe my last chance to do something to end this pain without surgery. And I really couldn't see that I had anything to lose at that point because I wasn't living my life. I wasn't doing any of my activities. It was the first time ever I didn't go skiing. The first time ever I went through a winter without skiing. It was the worst 8 months I'd ever lived because I was in pain the entire time. So on April 20th, 2018, I started my keto diet. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But I started this diet, and what I realized was that within a few days, well, once I got past the withdrawal, which is a story for a different day, but within a few days after getting past the withdrawal, I felt better. It was so fast. I felt better. And can I just point out that unlike choking down the stupid beef or taking iron pills to solve my anemia, which by the way was caused by the fact that I have a condition called thalassemia. So eating the beef was never going to solve it. Taking the pills was never going to solve it. And the problem I had was based on the fact that I have thalassemia. Eating a healthy keto diet solved this inflammation craziness in just 3 months. I was actually pain-free in my joints after 3 months. Running around again, doing activity, like everything was fine. And 5 months after starting keto, I was no longer classified as obese. 5 months. I actually found my health by eating the diet that was the exact opposite of what I was told to be healthy. And as a matter of fact, the diet that I was told to eat to be healthy and all the processed garbage that I was eating was causing my health problems, was causing all the physical problems that I lived from 23 to 46, because the stuff that happened before 20, I was fine. If they would have just left me alone, I'm anemic, woohoo, I was fine. I'm still anemic, and I'm fine. I learned that food, meat, fish, poultry, eggs, is actually necessary for life. Again, the stuff they tell us not to eat is necessary for good health and to live your life at your healthy weight. Processed garbage and high carb vegetation is ruining our health, wellness warrior. It's making us prisoners in our own bodies, because that 8 months I was a prisoner in my body, and ever since I've been free again. And the worst part, we don't even know we're damaging our bodies until we get to the point where we're on the path to medication, because that's when we feel pain. Right? So when we are damaging our bodies and we're running around and we feel great, things are happening. We feel pain. And by that point, I was on the road to medication. But it doesn't have to be that. Luckily for me, the thing that happened, they needed my body to fail before they could do the surgery. Sometimes the event is immediate. Maybe you have a heart story and now you're in the operating room. Maybe, right? But I was lucky. But I need you to understand that 5 months, healthy weight, 3 months, pain is gone. Your body wants to heal. Are you giving it the chance to heal? So the one thing that I want you to do is start your keto diet today by checking out this video. Click on the link. I'm gonna meet you over there.